podcast and welcome back. So for today's video, we are going to discuss 4 articles from the nature and effects of obligations, naming Article 1163 to Article 1166. Now let's proceed to Article 1163. Every person is obliged to give something, is also obliged to take care of it with the proper diligence of a good father of a family, unless the law or the stipulation of the parties requires another standard of care. But first, let's define the meaning of specific or determinate thing. The above provisions refers to an obligation to give a specific or determinate thing or a specific real obligation. A thing is said to be specific or determinate if particularly designated or physically segregated to others of the same class. This is Article 1459 of the Civil Code. On the other hand, a thing is generic or indeterminate when it refers only to a class or genus to which it pertains cannot be pointed out with particularity. There are duties of the debtor and obligation to give or to deliver a specific or determinate thing. Number 1 is to preserve the thing. In obligations to give a specific thing or specific real obligations, the obligor, debtor has the incidental duty to take care of the thing due with the diligence of a good father of a family pending to delivery. Diligence of a good father of a family has been equated with ordinary care or that diligence which an average or a reasonably prudent person would exercise over his own property. However, if the law or the stipulation of the parties provides for another standard of care, either slight or extraordinary diligence, such law or stipulation must prevail. The parties may agree upon diligence which is more or less than that of a good father of a family, but is contrary to the public policy to stipulate for absolute exemption from liability of the obligor. This is according to Article 1163 and 1174 of the New Civil Code. Second is to deliver the fruits of the thing. Third is to deliver the accessions and accessories. Fourth is deliver the thing itself. And fifth is to answer for damages in case of non-fulfillment or breach. So let's proceed to the duties of debtor and the obligation to give or to deliver a generic or indeterminate thing, or generic real obligation. First is to deliver a thing which is of the quality intended by the parties. However, when the quality and circumstances thereof have not been stated to the creditor, cannot demand a thing of superior quality, neither can the debtor deliver a thing of inferior quality. The purpose of the obligation and other circumstances shall be taken into consideration. Second is to be liable for damages in case of fraud, negligence, or delay in the performance of the obligation or the contravention of the tenor or terms thereof.
Big Christmas sale!
Free shipping piso din sa Shopee.
12 billion piso ang pamaskong dala from your favorite celebrity. Free shipping, piso deals, 12 big Christmas sales sa Shopee.
Article 1164, the creditor has a right to the fruits of the thing from the time the obligation to deliver it arises. However, he shall acquire no real right over it until the same has been delivered to him. So, let's define different kinds of fruits. Number 1 is natural fruits. The spontaneous products of the soil and the young and other products of animals. Number 2, industrial fruits. Those produced by lands of any kind through cultivation of labor. Number 3, civil fruits. Those derived by virtue of a juridical relation. Rights of creditor to the fruits. Also, remember that the creditor is entitled to the fruits of the thing to be delivered from the time the obligation to make delivery of the thing arises. The intention of the law is to protect the interest of the obligee should the obligor commit delay purposely or otherwise in fulfillment of his obligation. Generally, the obligation to deliver the thing due and the fruits thereof, if any, arises from the time of the perfection of the contract or to the meeting of the minds between the parties. If the obligation is subject to a suspensive condition or period, it arises upon the fulfillment of the condition or arrival of the period. However, if the parties make a stipulation to the contrary as regards the right of the creditor for the fruits of the thing, the general rule is that the creditor has the right to the fruits of the thing from the time the obligation to deliver arises. Say for instance, Anne sold her dog to Erwan for 10,000 pesos, and while in the possession of Anne, the dog gave birth to a puppy in which Erwan is the one entitled to the puppy if Erwan has already paid the amount of 10,000 pesos to Anne. Personal right is the right of power of a person to demand from another to give, to do, or not to do. While real right is the power over a specific thing like the right of ownership or possession and is binding on the whole world. Example, if Anne was the creditor to a house and Erwan was the debtor and both agreed that the payment for the rent of the house would be monthly. Erwan upon paying is what we call real right, but upon Anne expecting Erwan to pay every month is what we call personal right. Let's go to Article 1165. When what is to be delivered is a determinate thing, the creditor, in addition to the right granted him by Article 1170, may compel the debtor to make the delivery. If the thing is indeterminate or generic, he may ask that the obligation be complied with at the expense of the debtor. If the obligor delays or has promised to deliver the same thing to two or more persons who do not have the same interest, he shall be responsible for any fortuitous event until he has effected that delivery. An obligation to deliver a determinate thing as a general rule is extinguished if the thing is lost due to fortuitous event, whereas an obligation to deliver an indeterminate or generic thing is not extinguished by fortuitous event. This is what we call genius non perit or genius never perish. A fortuitous event is an extraordinary event which cannot be foreseen or which thought foreseen is inevitable. As a general rule, no person shall be responsible for those events which could not be foreseen or which, though foreseen, were inevitable, except first in cases expressly specified by law, second when it is stipulated by the parties, third when the nature of the obligation requires assumption of risk, and Article 1165 paragraph 3 is an example of an exception expressly provided by law. Thus, if the debtor is guilty of delay in the performance of his obligation or has promised to deliver the same thing to two or more persons who do not have common interest, he shall be liable for the loss of the thing by reason of fortuitous event until he has effected the delivery thereof. Delay in paragraph 3 speaks of extraordinary or legal delay and not ordinary delay. Extraordinary delay is a delay tantamount to non-fulfillment of obligation and arises after an extrajudicial had been made upon the debtor. Let's give an example. ABC Company contracted to deliver a vessel to KKK Company on July 30, 2020 before revealed to deliver in the stipulated period. On July 30, 2020, the vessel sunk because of raging storm. The ABC Company is not liable because the obligation was extinguished. It does not commit legal delay. However, if there was demand for delivery of the vessel before July 10, 2020 and ABC Company failed to deliver and the vessel sunk on July 30, 2020 by reason of the storm, the company is liable. The obligation to deliver the vessel is converted into money claims for damages. Article 1166, the obligation to give a determinate thing includes that of delivering all its accessions and accessories, even though they may not have been mentioned. So, accessories are those joined or included with the principle for the latter's better use, perfection, or enjoyment. Clarify if you all understand what we have discussed. Give me 5 examples of accessions and its accessories. Comment down below. So there you have it, guys. We have discussed 4 articles starting from Article 1163 to 1166 from the nature and effects of obligation. I hope you learned something today and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.